from the same place. We all live in this world together. It doesn't matter who's right, it doesn't matter who's wrong, if we don't all get along much better.
Show each other more respect, then maybe we could connect and stop taking all these things for granted.
You think that you're all alone, but we all share the same home. Let's join together and save the planet. If you love the world, it'll love you back. No matter who you are, no matter where you're at. If you love the world, it'll love you back. No matter who you are, no matter where you're at. Love is the only river holding the world together. Love is the only river. We're all in this together. We are the ones who can change. We are all one and the same. We are the ones who can turn the tide.
Doesn't matter who we are, 'cause hand in hand we'll go far. Let's get together and show our pride.
And if we all do our part, a new era can start. Never forget that you're not alone.
We're taking the world by storm. We're proud of how we were born. One love is all we need. One love is all we need.
Love is the only river holding
together.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Barbara Rohr, a longtime member of this church, Heritage Universalist Unitarian Church, and I will be your worship associate this morning. Welcome to all of you who are here, and welcome to those of you who are viewing us on Zoom or watching us on some future day. We're glad you're here, and I extend a particularly warm welcome to you. We're glad everyone is able to join us this morning. If you are new here, again, a warm welcome. And if you haven't signed our guest book when you came in, will you please do so at the end of the service? And if you're joining us via Zoom, you'll find a link to the virtual guest book in the chat. Kay Enskip is our official greeter this morning. Hopefully you already met her when you came into the building, and she will be available after the service to speak with anyone who has any questions. You can meet her in the lobby. We are a vibrant community with many opportunities to engage with one another outside of Sunday mornings, and you can read about many of those opportunities on the back of your order of service. Or you can go to our website, huuc.net, where you can learn even more. This morning, I want to give a particular thank you to everyone who supported last week's Books and Bling sale. We raised over $1,500, half of which will go, hey, yes, go ahead. Half of that money will go to our church operating budget, and half will go to the Clara Barton Guild, which supports scholarships for the Women's Retreat and underwrites various church projects. We have one more sale coming up, and that's the rummage sale, where all the proceeds will go to the church operating budget. And I'm the sale coordinator this year. Actually, I'll tell you this, so we can get it out there in the universe. My goal is to raise over $2,000. So let's hope for that, work for that, see that, and let it be. The sale will be Friday and Saturday up April 28th and 29th, so it's the last weekend in April, and it'll be from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. There's two things I want to emphasize about this sale, is that your donations of household items, toys, etc., must be clean, in good condition, and priced. If you're worried that you may price something differently, that someone who's pricing a similar item, don't worry about it. It'll be fine. It'll just be fine. Trust me on that. Also, I want to emphasize this is not the time to get rid of your broken, dirty junk in your garage. That goes in the trash. It doesn't come here. Donations can be brought to the church beginning Sunday, April 23rd. That's the Sunday before the sale. And this, I'm asking you, along with pricing items, is that when you bring items in, do not just place them in the Great Hall. I'm asking you that you place them on the appropriate tables. There will be tables set up in the Great Hall with signs like kitchenware, toys, sports. Take your items and put them on those tables as appropriate. By doing that, it's involving, we share the work of this fundraiser among all of us and make it a true congregational effort. Then there will be people coming in a couple days before the sale to sort of straighten everything up. So you don't have to worry about making it pretty, just make sure you get it in the right spot. For more information about all this, including a sign-up genius, you can read the April Heirloom, thanks to the good efforts of Russ Araujo, or talk to me. And finally, I ask that you put your cell phone in airplane mode or turn it off altogether for the duration of the service. And now for a very special call to worship and chalice lighting.
Today, as we celebrate our annual Stewardship Sunday, as we dedicate ourselves to the work of building our church's future together, we do have a special chalice lighting ceremony that spans the generations. I invite Bob Booth and others to come forward now. Bob has been a member of this church since the summer of 1977. Let that sink in for a minute. By my count, that's nearly 46 years. And I invite Bob to represent the generation that built the building we are gathered in right now to begin the chalice lighting ceremony.
Across the generations, we have carried the flame of our faith. We fought against injustice. We sang songs. We spoke for truth, and we started something lasting. We got in line, and today, now we carry the flame forward.
Across the generations, we are tending the flame. Hand in hand, together, we share in the work of fighting injustice, singing the songs, speaking the truth. We are here to build something lasting. We join in the line, and we carry the flame forward.
Across the generations, we have been nourished by this flame. We are singing new songs, breaking old barriers, sharing in the work. As we find our own space in what has been, we are here to make space for the next person as well. We join in the line and we carry the flame forward.
Across the generations, this flame comes to us.
We are here for the songs, for the justice, for the community that shares the work and play.
We are here to inherit a legacy and to build something new and lasting.
We are ready for a new day together. We join in the line and we carry the flame forward.
Let us carry our flame into the future and shine our light for all. Please rise as one in body or in spirit as we sing our opening hymn and repeat our congregational covenant. The opening hymn is titled Answering the Call of Love, and the words will appear in front of you.
All
affirm that
I'm Erin Walczewski, and if you look at your order of service, we're going to combine sharing our abundance with our next item, which is a time for all ages. So while I start to talk, I'm going to ask the kids in the congregation if they will come up to the front, because I'm going to need your help in just a second. So one of the things we're talking about today is building the community we want to see. And one of the reasons for that is connected with our recipient today for sharing our abundance. If any of you are in my family or have ever been to my house, you know that I'm a little intense when it comes to food waste. We have a million of these little reusable tiny containers, and in my house, no amount of food is too small to be saved for later. Not at all, because you're going to be hungry in 10 minutes and asking me what we can eat then. We do not, in our house, we don't peel carrots or potatoes. It turns out you can just wash those and eat them. We eat the stems of broccoli, and thanks to a tip from my mother-in-law a couple of years ago, I'm going to get a reaction to this, I know. We even eat the skins of kiwi. It turns out, yes, I know, I see you. I see you grimacing. And you're saying, but they're fuzzy, but they're hairy. You just give them a little bath, and you slice them all up, and they're delicious. And it turns out the peel is where all the fiber is. The point is, we go to a lot of efforts at my house to make sure that food doesn't go to waste and to compost what parts we can't eat. So imagine my delight when I found a nonprofit organization, a 501c3 here in Cincinnati, whose entire purpose is preventing food waste and connecting it to another problem in our community of hunger and food insecurity. The Last Mile Food Rescue is an organization here in Cincinnati that has a mission to take the food waste that's generated from restaurants and grocery stores and convenience stores and give it to shelters and soup kitchens and programs and agencies that can use it to help feed people in our community who need it. Just in Cincinnati, there are 270,000 people who deal with food insecurity or hunger on a daily basis. And this is one of the ways that we can use two problems to solve each other. So before the service started today, William and Jack were giving out some things. We're going to have the kids demonstrate this right now. Can you two be a team together? Great. So if you are sitting on this side of the room and we gave you a colored card and a little box of food, can you hold up your card? All right. What have you got? Tell us who you are. Antonio with Pizza Hut. Antonio with Pizza Hut. Thank you for doing such a great job managing the Pizza Hut. Who do we have over here? With Kroger, and in the back? Russ with Xavier University, and all the way in the back? UDF. I know Kate wants that one, so she's coming for you. All right, the kids are going to be our drivers, so kids go find one of the donors, one of the 50 agencies across, no, not that one, no, on this side. All right, so these kids, the one fiction here, they really do use 755 volunteers in Cincinnati, just regular people like you and me. They don't use children because you have to be a licensed driver. But you go to Pizza Hut or UDF or Kroger or Xavier University, and, okay, pay attention to what color. Now, if you're on this side of the room, including the choir, and you are a recipient organization, can you hold up your card? All right, try to match the colors, kids. Okay, see if you can find a pink one. Do you see a pink card? All right. William, who are you delivering to? The Free Store Food Bank. Great. Jack? Food for the Soul. Kate? Shelter House. And what about you guys? IPM, one of our church's favorite recipients. So this is, thank you guys. You guys did a great job. Can we get a hand for our kids? Thank you. In the interest of fiction, hold on to that food because we're going to use it in the next activity for the kids. So this is the way that Food Rescue works. You guys can go sit down with your parents, but just hold on to your food. Thank you. This is the way Food Rescue works through Last Mile Food Rescue. Food is picked up by volunteers from organizations that have it and delivered to organizations that need it. This is the recipient, as you all know, or if you're a visitor to our church, I'll explain. Our offering on a weekly basis goes to organizations in the local community that connect with our message for the week. So this week, our recipient, and if you're online, the Zoom chat will have the link, and it's also on our website, is Last Mile Food Rescue in Cincinnati. The message here really connects to both our overall theme for the day and the two songs we've already sung, the beginning welcoming video and the one we just sang together. We're all in this together, and we are answering the call of love. So please give as you're willing and able to Last Mile Food Rescue in Cincinnati.
Thank you for your gifts. May they be used to nurture bodies and souls and spirits throughout our region. Thank you. So the next thing is the children's recessional, but it seems they already left. So you're, putting these services together is always fun. And you never know what's going to happen. But I ask you to look outside if you're here in the sanctuary, or if you're on Zoom, I hope you can look outside, because isn't it just a glorious morning? Isn't it the kind of day that makes you want to sing? Sing of golden mornings? Well, that's what we're doing next. It's hymn number 44 if you're so inclined in your hymnal, or the words will appear before you. We sing of golden mornings. You may be seated. Lacey and I have some thoughts we'd like to share with you today on this Stewardship Sunday. Lacey will begin picking up where we left off a moment ago with our outreach offering and our children. Now, Lacey's not in person with us today because she is in Louisiana this weekend with her grandmother, who is celebrating her 90th birthday. That means that Lacey and Emily's 3-year-old, Ben, is with his great-great-grandmother, whom he calls Great Geenie. That's 4 generations of family that are gathered there this weekend. So it should be no surprise that Lacey has been thinking about what it means to be part of a multi-generational community. Here she is to share with us some of her thoughts about our children, our future, and our commitment to them both.
Good morning, everyone. I was so excited when Aaron told me who our Sharon Our Abundance recipient would be this week, because I think it is a perfect example of what it is to be a steward of the world in which we live. Like on this Stewardship Sunday, how do we think about stewardship? And our Sharing the Abundance recipient sort of tells us that stewardship is really about caring for each other so that together we can care for the world. And so I think this is a perfect way of thinking about stewardship as a church. How do we take care of each other so that we can care for the future? How do we take care of each other so we can take care of our broader community? How do we care for each other so that we can care for the world in which we live? And so in this way, our pledges aren't just financial commitments. They are that, certainly, and that's an important aspect of it. But they're more than that. When we make a pledge, we're making a promise. We're making a promise to a part of our community so that together we can make an impact on ourselves, our community, and the world. And there's nowhere I think that we see that more clearly than when we think about how we are in relationship and partnership with our young people. When we pledge, we are promising to partner with our youth, many of whom who are queer, questioning, trans, and gender expansive, and we are promising them that we are going to make this a place that they will be safe in a world that is increasingly unsafe and hostile to them. In this way, we are promising to each other that we will care for each other, and in that caring, we can help to create a better world. Our pledges today are a promise to lots of kids who might not normally come to this church, that together we can offer community offerings like Peace Camp, so that we can invite kids who might not otherwise have a camp home because they have needs that are harder for larger camps to accommodate, or because they've never had camping experiences, that we're promising to make this an accessible, warm, welcoming, and cultivating space, so that we are entering into a relationship with those kids to create peace with and for them. And in a day-to-day way, in a very everyday kind of way, our pledges are promises to the kids you saw in our sanctuary today, and to the other kids that might not be here, but that are connected by ways of family and other kind of opportunities, that we are going to create space with them. I wish I had like an hour to talk to you, because I could name our kids one by one, and I could tell you something extraordinary, something interesting, some way in which they are learning or growing, some way in which they are changing themselves and changing me, and how that creates change in the world. I don't have that time, so I will tell you, please know that our kids, all of the kids you saw today, they are extraordinary. They are extraordinary partners. They are extraordinary teachers. They are extraordinary learners. They are challenging and hopeful and quiet and contemplative. They are all sorts of remarkable things. And that your pledge today, it is a promise to be in relationship with them, to care for them, and to cultivate this place so that that will be a place that they can grow into, so that they can grow up in, so that they can imagine and dream in, so that they can think of the world in big and beautiful ways with and for us. And that's what you're doing. You are making, when you pledge, you are making a promise and a commitment to further and enrich and deepen a relationship. This week, one of Benny's childcare providers told me that she thinks that one of the great privileges of her life is to be able to spend her day with our young kids, mostly who are 2 to 5. And I'm not sure that I would want to spend my whole day with 2 to 5-year-olds all week long. But I did certainly reflect on the fact that, like, one of my life's privileges is to be in relationship with all of our kids, to grow in knowing of them and to grow and challenge them as they challenge me. So today, I am inviting you with your promise, with your pledge, to be in deeper relationship with them. Think about an interaction that you've had with our kids. Think about an interaction you wish you could have with our kids. Your stewardship of this church, your pledge during this pledging season, is a promise of a relationship. It is the hope of a greater community and a deepening connection. So as you think about your pledge, think about our kids and think about what it would take for us to help them build the future they want. That is what you are committing to. You are committing to financially help us grow into the place that our kids dream about, so that one day they might bring their own kids here to dream as well. Because boy, do we have some dreamers. And I know that you all are capable of promising to enrich their lives and foster their dreams.
Is Lacey on Zoom? Okay. Well, I want to thank Lacey for putting together that video for us this morning, and thank Kevin for editing and uploading it and making it so that we could watch it. And I want to lift the two of them up because Lacey and Kevin are just 2 members of our staff, our part-time staff, because I'm the only full-time staff person at Heritage Church. They are, as I said, just 2 of the people who make your HUC worship experience possible each Sunday. There's also Les and Steve, both of whom are here in the sanctuary today with me, and Martha, who is in the office during the week. I think it is important on Stewardship Sunday to recognize our outstanding staff because compensating them for their professional talents and skills is one of the main things that you pay for when you make your annual pledge. I also think it's important every now and then that we just shower them with a little bit of love and a little bit of applause. So even though Lacey can't hear this, all the other ones can. And I know Lacey will watch the worship video later in the week or a couple of weeks from now, which is also one of the things that you pay for, the opportunity for that to be on our website every week. Lacey spoke of building our future, not only for ourselves in the immediate years to come, but for our children, including children yet to come. She even talked about what this church might be like for the children of our children. And that's not as far-fetched an idea as it sounds. Bob and Ellie's Lamb's granddaughter, Libby, is right back there. She's a very active part of this church right now as a 9th grader. A few years back, Gretchen Elliston's granddaughters, Katie and Taylor Epperson, were part of our religious education program. They're both now young adults, and who knows, maybe Gretchen's great-great-grandkids might someday be here as well. The kids you have seen this morning are 2nd and in some cases 3rd generation Unitarian Universalists. So yes, we are building our future together. And it takes hard work, lots of it, not only from your staff, but from our many, many volunteers. Did you ever stop to think how many volunteers you have seen and will see and hear this morning just in one worship service? It's over 24 volunteers involved in putting on a Sunday service sometimes. That is building our future together. Now, of course, building our future takes money too. It takes your pledge, your promise, your commitment, which I think is perhaps the thing that it takes the most of, in fact, commitment. And today we're asking you, not people who are visitors, you came on the Sunday when we're doing this thing, but today we're asking you to make a commitment to Heritage Church. And what exactly does that mean? It's a commitment to growing and nurturing and offering to the Cincinnati community a house of worship where diversity is celebrated, where the inherent worth and dignity of every person, regardless of all those things that seem to divide us out there in the world, things like gender and sexual orientation, race and ethnicity, spirituality and religious beliefs. And yes, you should hear the differing opinions that are shared in our What Do You Believe class. And think for a minute at what other church could you find a What Do You Believe class where different opinions are shared. That's the kind of church we are. At Heritage, you're making a commitment to the idea that, as one of our great historic UU figures once said, we need not think alike to love alike. At Heritage, you're making a commitment to creating a more fair and just world for all people, for all souls. And at Heritage, you are making a commitment to teaching our children those very values, to passing on to future generations the kind of values that we find under attack sometimes elsewhere in our society. Reverend Susan Frederick Gray, the president of our Unitarian Universalist Association, is my friend, and many of you are aware that I do not always agree with her or with everything that the UUA does, policy-wise. But I wholeheartedly agree with Susan when she says that now is no time for a casual faith. As our culture and our communities continue to fracture into ever smaller echo chambers focused on ever more exclusionary and judgmental attitudes and practices, now is no time to be casual about a church like Heritage. In fact, now is the time to make a commitment to a church like Heritage. Now, I didn't tell him I was going to shine a spotlight on him this morning, but I ask you to consider the example of the guy who started us off today, Bob Booth. Bob is, to me, the very embodiment of commitment, including but not limited to a powerful commitment to Heritage Church. For nearly half a century, he's been a member of this church and as deeply involved a member as you will ever find. And there's nothing casual about his commitment to our faith. After helping to build this building we're gathered in, Bob has helped to fix just about everything in this building that we're gathered in. He does repairs. He shovels snow. He sings. He smiles. He hugs. He's been on the board and probably every other committee too. Heck, he's been there faithfully at darn near every meeting for half a century, except maybe the Women's Book Club. And he's done all this whether he's happy with the direction of the church at that moment or not. Whether his late wife, Connie, was happy with the direction of the church at that moment or not. Because he and they made a commitment to Heritage, a commitment to celebrate its past, to be there and to work hard in its present, and most of all, to leave it well cared for those future generations who will, in their turn, inherit the legacy and carry the flame forward. After all, isn't that what life is really all about? Isn't that why we make commitments as human beings to the people and the communities that we believe in so that they can carry on? So thank you, Bob, and I'm sorry I sprang that on you. Thank you to those others among us who follow Bob's lead, who follow in his footsteps. Thank you to all who are considering right now, today, making a new commitment or deepening your existing commitment to our church home, because together, we will build our future. Let us begin. There is a time, and the time is now. There's a time to honor the past and a time to look forward into the future. This morning, in this moment, we stand in between, looking with love and purpose in both directions while lifting up the here and now, what we are experiencing together in this sanctuary and in this virtual space this golden morning. We know that life is a rich tapestry of both joy and sorrow. As the poet William Blake says, joy and sorrow woven fine. Therefore, we set aside a time in our worship each week to honor those events and milestones that make up the fabric of our lives. You are invited to share with the congregation as you are moved this morning a joy or a sorrow. As you speak, Barbara will light a candle and what we call candles of community, so that this loving community might hold you in our hearts. We begin this ritual each week by reading any joys or sorrows that were shared via email prior to the service. And so I begin with Lou Kerr, who lights a candle of joy for his mother, who celebrated her 94th birthday this past Thursday. And now, if you're here in the sanctuary and have a joy or sorrow to lift up, please come forward. Take the microphone from Barbara or the person in front of you, and remember to tell us your name and then briefly what is in your heart. Are there joys or sorrows among us?
And I will light one last candle. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, I forgot, nothing on the Zoom, yeah. Okay. And I will light one last candle for all the joys and our sorrows and concerns in our hearts that are too tender to speak at this time.
Good morning. I'm Reed Hester, Stewardship Chair. Good morning. Good morning. Maybe I can talk about stewardship without choking up. I'm doomed when we actually take Diana to college, I guess. But maybe if I do cry, that'll help with some pledging. So we'll see. We'll see where the Spirit takes me. All right. So you've heard some really amazing messages this morning about our church, the members of our church. I don't know if, Finn, if you were a plant there, but thank you for that wonderful message in your candle. That was terrific. Really, all of the generations that are represented here are part of this loving community. My role here is to talk about the logistics of how we make this happen, how we make it real for the pledge drive for next year's budget. So, we now have a live website. You see an image of it here for our new pledge campaign for the 23-24 fiscal year. Thank you to Russ Arujo for his help in getting this site up and running. He is an absolute wonderful support for my efforts here. You've heard Bill and Lacey talk about the importance of our staff and of our religious education programs in our church community, and I really want to hold those two concepts up here for your thinking about what it is that you're supporting when you make a pledge for next year. The largest part of our budget, as is true for most organizations, is indeed our staff. So you can see their smiling faces there on our website. Thank you, Russ, for finding those great photos to put there. We'll have to find someone who looks just like Les as we're hiring a new music director for that new church year when we get there. That is the largest part of what we're looking to accomplish in our budget, is to give our staff salary increases that are commensurate with their skill and their commitment to this community and with the size and kind of resources of our congregation. Our personnel committee works really hard to make sure that they are recommending salary increases to our board that are based on UUA guidelines for a church of our type and our size. And our committee on ministry works very hard to make appropriate recommendations for our senior minister's salary. All of those salary increases taken together represent about $25,000 additionally going into our planned budget for next year, over and above what we are committed to spending in this year's budget. So that's really what you want to be thinking about when you think about supporting Heritage, is the staff and of course this facility that we just, we've got to pay the bills. It's kind of the most boring thing in the world, but it is the foundation that we build everything on, that we have this building here, that we have our staff here to help us and guide us. One of the things that I love doing when I start planning the pledge campaign for the next year is I go out and I look at other UU websites, and it's really kind of fun to do. You can Google, UU Stewardship or UU Pledge Drive, and you'll see all kinds of different websites coming up with other churches' messages and other churches' kind of themes for their upcoming pledge drive. And so I consider our theme and the website that we put out there in the world for our pledge drive to be part of that kind of that broader community of UU churches. That's really the nice thing about having this online now, is I hope other people learn from us. I sure learn from what other churches are doing in their pledge drives. Let's see if this works. Okay. On this same website, which you will all receive emails about either later today or maybe tomorrow, but I should get all of these emails out today, you will see a form that you can use to submit your pledge for next year. That form is completely private, it's completely secure, so don't worry at all. If you do have some concern about putting your pledging information on this form, you can email, there's a contact here, huucpledge@gmail.com, and send it in that way, or just send an email saying, please call me, and I'm happy to do that. So that's totally, totally fine, but there's nothing on this site that is in any way going to compromise your identity, or and it doesn't get out. It's a completely secure website that's actually part of our platform that we use here at the church called Breeze, that keeps information on who all of you are and how we can contact you, so it just feeds right into that. Also on this website, as you scroll down it, you'll find lots of kind of FAQ, frequently asked questions here. So a lot of these things are questions I've received over the years. What should I pledge? What's an average kind of pledge amount? What does it take to support this church? All the kinds of things that tend to come up. And if there's a question here that I get a lot of and it's not already here, I'll just work with Russ to add more to it. So you can kind of come back to this site and see it as kind of a living FAQ for our pledge drive. Now, let's get into some pro tips on pledging, all right? One of those questions that I get asked is, especially for folks who are maybe newer to our community or newer to UU, the UU tradition, is how do UUs approach pledging? Where should I start? What should my pledge be? I can tell you a lot of information. I can tell you what our average pledge is. It's about $2,300. I can tell you what our budget is, and I can take a kind of our budget and divide it by about how many pledges I think we'll get and come up with a recommended pledge that way. But I don't know what your circumstances are. I don't know your family's income, the expenses that you have right now. I can't really, and it wouldn't be appropriate for me to kind of dig into all of that information, but there are some great tools that you can use to kind of come up with a pledge that's pretty customized around what your financial situation is, and that's called Fair Share Pledging. Don't worry about trying to see this tiny text or write any of this down. I'm going to be sending links to Fair Share Pledging in every email that I send. There are links on our website to this worksheet, and it's super simple. You take your income, you can apply if there are kind of deductions around extra expenses you have right now, education, medical, whatever it may be, and come up with kind of what's an income number, and then there'll be a little grid there to say, based on your income, here's a recommended pledge. Now, that may not be the number you feel comfortable pledging, but it at least gives you some guideline that is tailored to your information and who you are, and then you can use that as a kind of a measuring stick of where do you want to pledge. It gives you something to think about and plan around. So I highly encourage Fair Share Pledging. My family pledges using this method and has for years. It really works for us in our budget. The next thing I will give a little shout out to is something we started doing a few years ago. I think I got this idea from just hearing so many WVXU pledge drives over the years of a sustaining pledge. So when you make your pledge online, you'll have the option of telling me, is this just a one-time pledge for this year? That's fine, absolutely fine. Or would you like this to be recognized as a sustaining pledge, meaning that when the pledge drive comes around next year, if I don't hear from you, I will carry your pledge forward. And we now have 31 sustainers who over the years have checked that box and kept themselves on record as sustaining pledgers. That means we start the pledge drive today with $65,000 in pledges that are sustaining pledges that we can count on. Now, if you're a sustaining pledger, I'm still going to come and ask you, can I ask you to increase your pledge for next year? It's not a kind of get out of jail free card on never having to think about your pledge again. But it is a really wonderful baseline for us to know what kind of where are we getting started. Bill and I talked about, is there a number we could kind of throw out there today? And I said, no, I won't have a chance to start the pledge drive yet. But then just as I was planning today, I thought, yes, there is. It's the sustaining pledges. That's our kind of carryover number. We're looking to raise total about $250,000 to $260,000 for pledge income next year, just to put that number in context. So that'd be about a quarter of that number. We're about 25% there already. Next up and last, we're kind of running early today, so I feel like I could take, an hour here, but no. This is my last slide. The last pro tip of the morning, yes, is really the benefits that we see for those of you who make your pledge and choose to give via electronic funds transfer or just automatic. Sometimes it's called ACH as well, where we have a form and you can tell us on the pledge form, I'd like to start a new EFT pledge, or you can say, I'm already pledging this way, just update my pledge amount, and we don't need to do new paperwork for that. But if it's totally new for you and you'd like to do an EFT pledge, just check that box. We'll send you the paperwork for it. It's very simple, and you'll let us know how to draw directly from your account. That means that you tell us when in the month you want that to come out, and that becomes just a regular contribution that you don't have to then write a check or think about putting stuff in the mail. And it really, really helps the church. It's, there's the size of your pledge, which is certainly a very important thing, but there's also this piece of how you pledge that really just helps us plan and rely on steady cash flow. So whatever the size of your pledge is, it is very, very helpful for it to be set up as an EFT. It's helpful if you want to designate as a sustaining pledge. So think of those two elements. How much am I able and willing to pledge, and how will I pledge? They're both really important decisions that help us make our plans here at Heritage. So thank you so much for your pledges, for your support of the church, and we will all be in touch. This pledge drive that we're kicking off today will take place over about the next 1.5 months, give or take, maybe a little longer than that, depending on, we're still trying to round people up and get those pledges in. We settle the pledge drive in about kind of the first week of May, and then I'll meet with the board and report to the board on where we've ended up on our pledge drive. We'll finalize the budget with the board, and that budget will then be presented at our annual meeting, which is the first Sunday in June, generally at 8:30 a.m. We'll need a quorum here for that meeting, and one of our first orders of business is to present that budget to our members at our annual meeting to vote on it. It's one of the wonderful things about the kind of democratic process in our UU tradition. So that's the timing of it, and I apologize now for all the emails I'm going to send you, but I know the quicker you respond, the less I have to bug you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Reed. And, talk about a thankless task. So this guy's been doing this for a decade or so, and he deserves our thanks too. And made it very simple to understand the whole process. So we appreciate that. Now, if you are one of those people who follows along on the order of service, you'll notice that was titled How to Make It Real. Stewardship Sunday is not only about our hopes and dreams for the future and what we're building together, but it's an opportunity for us to make those dreams real. So it's time to get real now. And I want to bump up that base number a little bit. Jennifer and I want to get the stewardship process started today by offering our commitment, our pledge of $3,600 a year or $300 a month to Heritage Church. Now, we don't always go public with our pledge amount, but this year I feel that's important because it's a time in the life of our church where we're returning to community, we've come back from a shutdown and a pandemic, and we're once again offering a full diversity of programs, and we are hiring new staff, and we're moving forward into the future. So as you consider your pledge, I hope that you will think about those things. I hope that you, as many of you as are able, will maybe match the minister. But most of all, I encourage everyone to get those pledges in to read as soon as possible so that he and the board can begin that process that he described. So thank you, everyone. It's time for the choir to do their magic and lift our spirits once again. I should go sit out there more often when you sing. You sounded great, and thank you to Peter Boylan on the guitar there. So again, if you're one of those who follows on the program, you'll see that now we're going to have a congregational meeting. Not that kind of congregational meeting, not the one where we discuss business matters and vote on things, a meeting where we meet each other. Maybe that's even more uncomfortable. I don't know. It's optional though, that meeting part. But in the past couple of weeks, I've been at a lot of activities, groups, and gatherings where it's become obvious to me that we might not even know each other's name that well. We're changing, we're growing as a community. And you know, I bet you can't even name everybody in the choir. So at least most of you can't. So we're going to meet each other right now. So take a breath. And give me this mic. You can give me this mic. So because of the time, I just invite people. You also notice I'm wearing my name tag today. I almost never wear my name tag when I'm in the pulpit because it just seems a little weird. But I'm wearing it for a couple of reasons. One is we're now putting our pronouns on our name tags. So I want to kind of model that and offer that as an option. They're little stickers that you can choose and put on your name tag. But also because if you're wearing your name tag, other people can maybe clandestinely look and say, oh, that says Antonio, but actually to do that, I got to go. That says Antonio. So I'm going to invite anyone who's comfortable here, and we'll do it on Zoom too. So you go ahead and put them up so we can see them. But Zoom people, after the sanctuary's done this, you'll have a chance to do this too if you want to participate. Come forward, just like it was Candles of Community or something. Tell us your name and one thing about you. Limit it. Be short. I know there's people who want to talk more, like me, because I'm talking right now. But I'm just going to demonstrate. Hi, I'm Bill Gupton, and I'm the father of Patrick Sanders. Who would like to go next? Line up, pretend like it's Candles of Community. Pay attention to the person. Learn their name. Learn something about them. Come on up here. And that is us meeting each other. Thank you for doing that. Those of you who were willing to participate. It's time for our closing hymn. This is a little bit challenging song. It's really beautiful, but it's sufficiently challenging. We're going to let the choir kind of lead us and pull us through like they do sometimes. By the way, the words to this song were written by the Reverend Mary Catherine Mourn, who will be the guest preacher at the upcoming Cincinnati-wide joint worship service of all the Unitarian Universalist congregations in town 5 weeks from today on the last Sunday in April. This is the Fire of Commitment. And if you'll get out your teal hymnals, I sort of made an assumption you knew how that was there, but it's in there. That's how you're going to pull us through, okay? The Fire of Commitment. I think it's 1028. 1028. Everybody please rise. Otherwise, you've just got some words and no music. Let's sing together. No, we can't have that. Somebody, Charlotte? Oh, okay, cool. It's your choice. I thought we were shunning you. It's your choice, that's cool. All right, love you, Charlotte. May the spirit of life that each of us possesses flow from one to the other. May it stay with us. And bring us peace and harmony. Until we meet again. Amen. Go in peace.
Thank you.